We're not live. We might be, but we can cut that off. I'm just waiting for it to clear.
Yeah.
But
I have a talk on this.
We are.
There we go.
We were in the green room, and we were just talking so much about, when you meet somebody and you are in alignment, and you are in the same room at the same time, you just didn't realize that you want to be talking more to this person. So we're going to be talking to Kikki Avila today. Is that Avila? Am I
Avila?
Avila.
Yeah.
Avila. So there's an A, huh? Avila.
Correct.
And it's Avila. Okay. Excellent. Okay, good to know. My name is Rhonda Liebig. This is Fresh Talks Global Vision. I truly care about us being able to support each other and being able to open our arms for each other, to really stop what I call hashtag speaker locking arms every time we open our voice, that we're really supporting and locking arms together. There's so much shame and blame out there. There's so many things that we're going to talk about today that you will know what Kikki Avila is doing with these natural products that she calls Indiefog Naturals. And really what it comes down to is she understands about the body and why she's creating this along the way to be able to really help open up. And like what she's saying, like she's calling it Indiefog. I'm thinking like fog and slow down. And I can't wait to hear more about this. But I believe that we are here on earth, everybody, to really help others. I don't know why we think that we should only be in a 9-to-5 job and just making money. This world is not just about that. That's just one beautiful pillar of being able to serve. And so I want to know more about Kikki's product and what she's doing with it and how we can get to it, because anything clean that we can put in our body helps our whole hormone system to be able to flow and not get, not have any of those disruptions that happen with other products. And so Kikki Avila, welcome in. I want to give a proper introduction, but I'm really excited because we had some great conversation already in the green room.
I know. Thank you very much for having me. And we met at that one event, and we were sitting next to each other, and we didn't even really, I know.
And we were in a bar at a table. It was very casual. It was so quiet where we were too. And somehow we got to get wrapped in the last minute. But I think that this is how life works, is that if we would have known that we could talk to each other then, I don't know if we would have even went to bed. I mean, the way that this all feels, I feel like there's something that's going to happen here that we are going to be able to partner in so many different ways, because you're already talking about how the body arrives when you're carrying in that shame and blame, and how this product connects with this. So let me get to the introduction, and then we'll get into more conversation, my friend. So everybody else, welcome in. All right. So Indiefog Naturals and Rooted and Well exist. Okay. Indigo Naturals and Rooted and Well. That's the name of the product.
Indiefog Naturals and Rooted and Well is actually our community behind Indiefog Naturals.
Okay, so the community, Rooted and Well. Okay, I like that. Exists to end the quiet, everyday forms of blaming and shaming that sensitive and chronically stressed bodies experience. My work is centered on restoring dignity, clarity, and nervous system safety to people who've been told their symptoms are in their head and their body is their problem. Ooh, this is going to be some good stuff. My mission, she says, to help people understand that your body is not broken, it's communicating. And when we remove shame, overwhelm, and misinformation, people finally feel safe enough to heal. What I'm up to in my talks and my work. And so we may even talk about some of the talks that she's been doing, because she's really getting out there. She's creating this product that is there to be able to help others. Creating sanctuary coded skincare for reactive. Let's see here. You're leading a movement that replaces self-blame with body trust and nervous system safety. My work is about ending shame at the root in the body, in the beauty industry, and in the healing journey. Okay, there's so many things here. And if anybody has any questions, we're going to definitely be looking at that as we go along. Kikki, the thing that you're talking about is how the body starts trusting itself. So I understand, I'm going through this journey, and a lot of people out, you may feel this the same way. And I'm learning to like, calm my nervous system, get in there and be able to learn more about myself. But I love this angle about you're going to the root cause in the body, and you're really looking at like just what's happening out there and how the information you're going to give and your product itself, why you think that this is the way to go. Can you share more about that? Just share like how this all started happening. I think that's a great way to start opening up.
Oh, goodness. This started happening 15 years ago for me. And I kind of I was 26. I was newly divorced, very happily divorced. But I had a catalyst moment in my life that my body was already in a very chronic place, very fight or flight mode situation, high cortisol, nutrient deficiencies, things like that. And this one moment spiraled my body into the depths of years of chronic illness and autoimmune disease. Yeah. And so I knew within, days that something had shifted and was starting to unravel. And when I reached out to medical professionals, I was told, "You're fine. It's all in your head. Nothing's wrong with you." And so that went on for quite a few years. And then I just got sicker and sicker. And I even shifted to naturopaths. And I ended up spending over $30,000 in 1 year with naturopaths. Yeah. And all throughout the way, I realized that I had given my power away.
That's a key right there, I'm hearing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I didn't agree with being told it's all in my head. I didn't agree with the labs because they did look fine, but the lab work wasn't complete.
Yeah.
I needed additional labs. And when I finally started educating myself, I fired all my doctors. I hired a doctor that was going to actually work with me and listen to me and take my guidance and my expertise. And I asked the right questions. I started saying, I want these labs to be taken. This is what's happening, and this needs to happen. And so I made it a business. I said, this doctor is going to be my business partner. They are not here to override my words, to tell me what is. I know what is. I can feel my body. I live in my body every single day. I know better than anybody else what's going on. And so we got the right answers, and I ended up with diagnoses. Yes, plural. And it was probably one of the most amazing times of my life because I truly stepped into my power.
Yeah.
And was someone that kind of felt like she never grew up with a voice. I took that voice and I was like, I got this. And so what I did after that, I think, is more telling to where I am today.
Yeah.
And it's because I connected with myself. I went back into my body. I understood my nervous system. I understood my identity, my true identity, not the sick version of myself. And so once I had that diagnosis, I had that moment of, okay, I guess it's not all in my head, but I am sick. I am this. I have this. And it took me a while to finally realize if I continue to identify with that, I can't get better. I can't break that cycle. And so I changed my identity. I started really tapping into the nervous system. I realized that I now co-regulate other people's nervous systems. So I'm very much in tune with the nervous system. And then I started to make the decisions I needed to make in order to reverse my chronic illness. And I did.
I want to take a step back here. You actually know more than how I introduced you, huh? What is your background? Because, well, first off, to understand your body, that's a lot of internal work.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's some deep education you went through to really be able to take charge and know what doctor you wanted to work with, how you wanted to lead to make sure you're partnering with somebody so that you could get to the start getting to the root cause of stuff. What's your background?
So my background is actually in advertising and marketing, corporate marketing. And then I studied regenerative detoxification.
Say that again.
I studied regenerative detoxification.
Generative detoxification. Regenerative. Okay, what does that mean? What is regenerative?
So it's healing the body at a cellular root. And so instead of looking at the symptoms and trying to either cover up the symptoms using medicine, which really doesn't get at the root cause, I I'm very one of my strengths is chronologically going back to help people find the root cause in their life. So whether it be a couple of years that they've had an autoimmune disease or 20 years, I help them start thinking a different way about how this all transpired, because most autoimmune diseases and chronic illnesses actually are rooted from environmental factors, whether it be nutritional deficiencies or exposure to mold or bacteria in water, any of those sorts of things. And so I help them find out the root cause by looking at, okay, what was a catalyst moment? What is the moment that you said, wow, something shifted in my body? And then let's look right before that. Did you make a big move? Did you have a baby? What happened? What was big? And so I really help people kind of uncover the root so that they can step back and go, oh, this is all making sense now. Because we can't heal the body until obviously identity, nervous system, and detoxification. But the detoxification component looks at what are we detoxing? And if we don't have all the labs to really understand, then we need to start making those choices. So whether it be, hey, let's get some mold labs done. Well, I got all the mold labs done. Did you get all the right ones?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of misinformation out there of, oh, I took these from my Western doctor. Yeah. Okay. And they all came back negative. Well, we got to dig into that a little bit deeper, because you're telling me that you've been exposed to a home with mold. And these autoimmune diseases that you're talking about, the biggest culprit is usually mold. So it's really kind of working through that. And doctors don't give you the time of day to work through that. That is up to you to dig in.
And I got to tell you, Kikki, coming as a CPA for like 10 years being in that, about 6 years in that industry, is that you really actually, the finance department making budgets are just kicking butt on those doctors, saying they only have so much time, with each patient. So they have that, plus the education is, utilizing medicine to cover up stuff. So, to stop the symptoms, but you just end up getting worse and worse over time, because systemically that's not healing. But I know the general population really believes that just because we're aging, and so you're naturally going to go on medicine. I love the systemic part that you're talking about here. So parallel with what you're saying here, there's also the shaming and blaming and what's happening with the nervous system and what you're seeing. Could you layer that in so people understand, like, that what you're really looking at is like a full perspective of like how the body is working to be able to know, what the next steps that need to happen. And are we going in the right direction? Because we're talking about your product, but is this something that you like to kind of work along with somebody to understand how your product can help them to, like, where are we going with that?
Yes. So to answer your later question, this is the essence of Indiefog Naturals. This is why I developed the line. And to kind of like go a little bit backwards, step by step, the nervous system, when you know the biology of the body, the nervous system really holds its essence on your face and wrapped around your vagus nerve and the back skull of your head and all the way down your spine. And so that is just the biology of the body. Now, when you wake up every single morning and you look at yourself in the mirror, you identify with the person that's right in front of you. And when you have chronic illness, you no longer identify with that person that's right in front of you.
Well, it's almost like you create a new character.
It's not you creating the character. It's the chronic illness that has created the character for you. So
I like that energetically, what you're sharing there.
You get inflammation, you get swelling, you get things on your skin, you're dull, you don't connect with the surface, and you no longer connect with who's inside anymore because you've identified with that chronic illness. So you look in the mirror every morning, every night, every single time you pass by, and you go, I'm broken. I see that broken person.
Yeah.
And not only has that been pre-wired in you, all those years that you were dismissed by the medical world, by friends, by family, whoever, but once you get that diagnosis, it's like, oh, yes, free. I'm not crazy. It's not all in my head, but I'm still broken. And that trauma from the dismissal doesn't just erase. You're stuck with that trauma. So even though you have a diagnosis, it doesn't mean anything until you start looking in the mirror and you say, you're not broken.
Yeah.
The diagnosis is just a pattern. It's just our bodies expressing in a way of that something is just off because it's a system. You can't have broken parts in the system and think everything's still going to work right.
Oh my gosh, Kikki, I'm going to share a personal story, and then I want you to actually share a personal story because with all this information, you are highly educated in this area and the connection of your product. But before we go in more in this, I want to understand more of your story about how you actually, I can feel that you understand this from experience also. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper just to get the human more experience about what you're talking about here, because everything is gold. But I wanted to share a story because what you're saying, it's opening me up to areas of what I'm healing from now and throughout my life. And so I always related my stuff personally with just some emotional stuff that was going and happening around as I was growing up. And there were just things that were happening in 6th grade, 9th grade, and a couple other times in my life where I finally ended up on medicine about 29 or 30. But I mean, I was passing out and there was no diagnosis. So the living situation I was in, I was told that I was faking. And because perhaps I didn't want to go to school, which was probably one of the things, but I wasn't faking my, passing out and blacking out. And so it started a journey. It started actually in 6th grade with some things happening. And then this happened again in 9th grade with some life events happening. And that feeling of that you're trying to prove yourself to somebody that, no, I really am sick. Every time I put my foot on the ground, I'm like literally blacking out. So I love that you're talking about that because now I'm realizing a lot of the stuff that I've been carrying all these years and really awakening over these past 3 months. It's just some big shifts happened in my life that I'm realizing I'm healing from all that stuff. And I was not able to express it to everybody around me because I just didn't understand, at the age of 29, how I got on that medicine to really what was happening until I started in the health and wellness industry and I started breaking things down. But what you're talking about, just sitting here listening to you, is I'm wondering if our viewers are even thinking about their timeline and what was happening in their life to even perhaps the situation they're in with relationships or relationship within themselves or some past trauma, just people thinking you're lying and you're told you're lying, which is a terrible feeling when you're really not.
Yeah.
So with me sharing that, I would love to hear just a little bit more about you and understanding about the shaming and how the body, that for probably within yourself, how you really realized you had to release those things that you felt kind of embarrassed about, maybe, or however it showed up for you, and you started on your healing journey.
And yeah, I love that you made all those connections, because it's so true that it's not just usually one instance, it's a
Mhm.
multitude of them. And
Yeah.
it goes all the way back to our childhood. For me, I've had probably three or four pivotal points in my life
Hmm.
that were kind of a little bit more trauma based.
Yeah.
Um, but I think the biggest one was when I first got my first autoimmune disease, because I spiraled. I spiraled so deep, and I mean, I'm not a depressed person, and I was depressed. There were moments where I thought, okay, I am just a burden on my husband, and I just can't function like this, and I can't see a future with me like this. This can't be it.
Mm.
And so and I mean, I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's,
Uh-huh.
autoimmune disease, and then I had a couple chronic conditions on top of that, because it's not just one thing that you're dealing with. And with autoimmune disease, I always like to think of it as like a three-part pillar. It's the mitochondria, the hormones, and the gut.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're always going to have problems
Yeah.
problems in those areas, because those are kind of like the holding up of your whole system. And so it was, I think I was at my bottom at that point, where I gave all my power away. I didn't see a way out. And once and I don't even realize the moment, but I think it was micro moments. And that's why I think the nervous system is so powerful, because it was, okay, today I'm going to do one thing different. And when you start doing micro moments and working on yourself and pouring back into yourself, and freeze the whole world, I made it my mission to heal. I didn't worry about working. I didn't worry about anything like that. And when I started doing micro moments and reconnecting with my body, I brought my system out of fight or flight mode back into, really, the nervous system should flow like this. It should never be in one state solid. And I just kind of poured back into myself. And then I started developing, I actually had my daughter, about, I would say about 2 years or so after I was in a stable position. So I healed myself from my autoimmune disease. And then I healed my heart and
Mm-hmm.
my soul, because that came later.
Yeah.
And then I was in a good baseline spot. I had my daughter, and I said to myself, what can I give her as a gift that is something that I know, that comes from my heart, and it shows her something, and it's hard work, and it encompasses everything about me. And then I started formulating when she was still in my belly. And it first just started as a clean skincare line,
Yeah.
and I did a soft launch. And then the second big wave hit, and I moved into a home with mold, with black mold.
Oh, oh.
Yeah. And within days, I kid you not, it was probably about 2 to 3 days. I It hit. We all have weaknesses in our body,
Yeah.
okay? And when you have something that you know comes at you like a tidal wave, it usually is going to hit that weakness first. And so my gut has always been my weakest.
Mm-hmm.
And within like 2 or 3 days, I had chronic diarrhea. I am going to say it on the air.
Oh,
And I struggled with that. And I said, you know what?
how
Something is
quick.
terribly wrong. My body, I know something's wrong. And so when I went to the owners of the home and I said, I think you have mold in your house. Like, how do you have, just because of this? I said, my body is telling me it's mold. I need you to have this house checked. So I was in and out of the hospital with anaphylactic. I had hives inside my mouth. It was bad.
Oh my gosh. Oh.
And I was dismissed. I was dismissed by everyone. My loved ones, my family members, everyone. And lo and behold, a year and a half later, they found mold in the whole home. And so, but it was, and then we moved into our brand new house, and that also had mold.
Oh my!
So I went through it again, and that was
I wonder if a lot of homes deal with this, and with being so sensitive, you actually can catch it before somebody who it just kind of accumulates in them, and then they're getting symptoms. Okay, so let's go in there about the Indiefog Naturals. Tell me more about and how you're utilizing it. And
so that at that point in time, I was diagnosed with MCAS and eosinophilia, both like MCAS or both like Hashimoto's, not being able to reverse them, or so they say.
Yeah.
And so I really love that I was exposed to mold. I really do. Because at that moment, it changed the entire game for the line. And we had put the business on hold when we moved back for about 10 months. So I was starting to have sensitivities to my own skincare line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I thought to myself, you know what? Because MCAS, it makes you hypersensitive. Your body's dysregulated, it's hypersensitive. So my thought was, we live in a very overstimulating environment. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And more people are getting autoimmune disease and chronic illness and everything. We need to calm our systems down.
Yeah.
So why are we putting acids on our face? Why are we putting these products that, although they may be claimed to be safe, they're highly stimulating for our skin? And our skin is the largest organ on our bodies.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this? It's just putting our body into fight or flight mode. It's just more fuel on the fire. So I reformulated the line to be a nervous system skincare line. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't exist. This is a completely blue ocean. Nervous system skincare does not exist anywhere out on the market.
Wow.
And so, and through this process, and the reason why I started developing skincare in the first place was to heal my soul from my autoimmune disease and to reconnect with myself. And the best way I knew possible was to look at myself in the mirror and indulge and in love and give back to myself. Wow. And so, and I grew up in the 80s and 90s. Skincare was, I didn't learn anything about skincare. So I developed the whole line from the ground up. And it's designed as a meditation. And because I use meditation to help with, it's called neuroplasticity. And when you are in a meditative state, you can rewire your brain. Yeah. And I use that as well to heal. And so I thought, you know what, if I can immediately change my identity to I am healing, look at myself in the mirror and love on myself and calm the nervous system, and put myself back into safety, because the body will not heal when it is in fear, when it doesn't feel safe. So what are micro moments that I can do throughout the day to put my body into a safety spot? And that was just one thing that I can do for myself. And so that birthed Indiefog Naturals, a nervous system skincare line.
I love this. I am thinking about the whole entire experience about being on medicine for myself for 20 years for hypothyroid, and to get off of it and understand that systemically I need to clear it to understand really what my symptoms are and what was going on. And my whole body with probably stress within my personal life, it just kept getting worse and worse because I wasn't fully stepping into it.
Yeah.
Because I knew there were things happening when I was on medicine, and I was getting kind of lazy about really truly taking care of myself. I mean, I'd work out, but I was working out since I was 14. So, I mean, working out is not what protected me from being ill. It was a whole combination of stuff. So, when I finally took a step back, there are still symptoms that were happening, with snoring really bad because of circulation. There were all these things. And as I started going along, I tried to get out of the shaming and the blaming of stuff because just everybody has told me to get back on medicine. And I'm like, no, I know that there's something here. And I know these are because of these certain things. And I know emotionally I'm shut down. And I need to find myself in a way of looking at myself, like what you said, in the mirror, to be able to acknowledge. And all of a sudden I just looked at myself and I was thinking, this is my body talking. I am actually not sick. Like, I am not sick, but there's things that have happened and things that I need to do. And I started right away, started building tools to be able to understand, the layers of what was going on, which is like a timeline, experience that I was doing for myself. And I love what you're talking about here. The confusion I have, which I think you pretty much said it, but this is like so unique what you're talking about. So will you bridge this for me?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about these holistic tools. Like, we're talking meditation, we're talking about nervous system, we're talking about these things about understanding your gut and being able to connect that with your product. How does that, will you bridge that for me? Because you're talking like all as one. Like, if I do this, then I'm going to be doing this, and this is all going to protect me based on, how I created my product. But you are talking so unique. I think you're way ahead of your time, which is so cool. Can you
Yeah.
go in a little bit more and kind of play with that on how that
So,
works when somebody gets your product and what you're really doing here? And you're talking about the
yeah.
approach and stuff.
So the product itself is
Mm.
designed as a meditation. So we have our magnesium butters, which are 6 magnesium butters. They're all different and unique for different states during the nervous system wave, is what I call it. And so you use this as the drop in. And that's what we call it in meditation, when you drop into the meditation, when you get out of your head and into your body.
Yeah.
And so it helps calibrate your nervous system. It helps bring you back into baseline. And then once your body feels safe, it can receive.
Yeah.
And so that's the beginning stage. And we put that on the back of our neck. We
Mhm.
put it on the side of our neck. Could put it anywhere on the body except for the face. And then we have our facial products. And those are like, I like to call them the communication. So when you are in your meditation, you are communicating with your body. You are
Yeah.
communicating with your guides. You are communicating with anything and everything except for your head.
Yeah.
And so when you use our essence, our serums, our elixirs and butters, that is the moment that you are re-identifying with yourself. You've got neuroplasticity going on with meditation, so you're rewiring.
Yeah.
And you are taking that indulgent moment with our products that are designed to not stimulate the skin. So it does 2 things. It doesn't stimulate the body or the skin, and it also puts the experience of, let's take us out of fight or flight mode. Let's get us back into baseline. Let's feel safe in our bodies. And so they kind of mirror each other is how they work. It doesn't, of course, I don't heal you from autoimmune disease or chronic illness. I give you one tool
Yeah.
to say it's possible.
Yeah.
I have my power back. I can. And so what we've done is, on your first purchase of any of our products, you are welcome into Rooted and Well. And Rooted and Well is the holistic community. And as someone who spent over $30,000 with a naturopath in
In 1
several
year.
years. Yeah, that I don't, health is expensive. Health
Yeah.
is very expensive. And if I have the opportunity to point someone in the right direction, to give them one tool to be a sounding guide, to give them a space to just be them and even listen
Yeah.
and see them, then that's my gift to the world. And so if you buy your first product with us, you're welcome into Rooted and Well, and it's a healing community. It's completely free, and you can chat with other people who are healing on there. You can look into some of our practitioners that are beautiful human beings that have been there and done that. We have meditations, we have affirmations, we have tools and journaling and detoxification information, because my background is in regenerative detoxification. So they are able to experience a whole new world, and for free.
I love it. And along with this, you really do have like a view of how your work is really restoring dignity, clarity, nervous system safety, and you're looking at it like a whole mission.
Yeah.
Like with my global vision, I'm talking a lot about what you're talking about. So where are you seeing this going? Because this is like crazy. When did your stuff launch? What year?
Last year, at the end of
Last year.
October of last year is when we did our formal launch,
Where do
when
you
I
see
opened up
your
the doors.
vision moving forward with this? And when you're looking out there, because you're talking really a global situation here. There's so many things going on out there. What's your vision as you're building this?
That's a really great question. You know, I haven't really sat with that too much, because it's only been about 7 or 8 months since we
You're moving
launched.
fast.
It's
Yeah.
moving very fast. And so I don't think I've had the moment to pause and to really think where it's going. I do know that my entire purpose is to help empower women to take back their voices and know that they have the power within. I'm not here to coach people one-on-one to heal or reverse or provide protocols,
Mhm.
because our bodies don't work on protocol. We are
Yeah.
so uniquely different. One thing works for someone, it's not going to work for other people.
Yeah.
And so
Big
it's
experience
really,
stuff. Mhm.
yeah. And so it's really just being, I'm a disruptor. So I'm going to disrupt. I'm going to make you start questioning things within yourself and other people. But at the end of the day, I'm also going to give you your power back. And that's really what I want. I want for women to have their voice and to know that they're never wrong. If they're feeling it from within, whether it be a moment or years of feeling that, it's never wrong.
Yeah. No, you can feel it. It's pretty empowering what you're saying. Thank you so much. I'm appreciating so much that you are here, because there's just these base things that you have built, and so within 6 months, I want you back in here and talking about, like, what's the latest happening for you? Where is this taking you? And I have a humanitarian project, so we'll want to make sure that we talk about that together, because there's something there that it'd be really fun to explore some things, because the way your mind works, and I really would love to bounce stuff back and forth with you. So we'll make sure we get another room to talk about that.
I would love that. Thank
Kikki
you.
Avila, thank you very much. Avila.
You know what? It took me a very long time to figure it out too, because it's my married name. So I don't blame you at all.
I'm working on it. I'm a working case here, so
As we all are.
I think that's, we empower each other for sure. I really do want to get you back in here and even get some little tidbits so we can, toss this interview out throughout times when you're doing different things and your launches and stuff, because you really brought up some great things. So I'll make sure I kind of look at those highlights. But this is incredible because I literally have never heard anybody speak as if everything's interchangeable when it comes to the health and wellness of the body and the safety. And at the same time, you are actually speaking about your product and how it's meditative and what you're doing in the journey. And you were talking about the vagus nerve. You were talking about how to calm that to actually really help the digestion. So, and neuroplasticity. And there's these things that are so important. And those words may not mean things to some people, but the essence of really healing your body within, and the steps and what you're learning about how to understand yourself more so that you can unravel a lifetime of stuff, that perhaps that's why we're having things show up. Like, I think we're still going to be here if we get to be here in our 90s and, still like going, oh, I just learned something else. It's like this endless wealth of information when we get together and start talking, or just like our
Yeah.
research and stuff. Isn't it great?
It really is, because, and you know what? I can sit in front of someone and they say, oh, well, I don't have a chronic condition. And a chronic condition is you've had something that has been 3 months, over 3 months,
Ooh,
doing care. And that is the clinical definition of a chronic condition. And even if you haven't had a chronic condition or you don't currently have one, we're all going to at least have one chronic condition in our lifetime.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just thinking of, as far as I can remember at this point, it probably started in fourth grade, some of this stuff. So it can
Right.
happen at any age. And it's just your
Yes.
body talking, learning, and discovering how to step in with something that feels right for you to be able to. And I think it's the timeline of just looking at what's happening. And when you become more aware, all of a sudden that's just information. The information helps you open up and release a lot of that. So I love that.
Exactly. And you know what? I always say this, that what you think your greatest weakness is actually your greatest power.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think that's our superpower, huh?
yeah, because when I was in grade school, about 10 years old, I was in so much fear of getting sick. And so when my mom had said to
Yeah.
us one time, she goes, oh, just want to let you know the stomach bug is going around. And within just a few hours of the fear that developed in my brain, telling myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it.
Oh,
I came down with it. Within just a couple hours, I made myself sick. So I knew that if I could make myself sick, I could heal myself.
we're gonna definitely end with that, but I do want to know, how do we get to you? And I'll make sure we get all the description. But yeah, how do we get to the Indiefog Naturals, and then how do we get to you? Because we want to make sure that people get the product so they can get into the Rooted and Well and be able to get all the information while they're inside the community.
Love it. Thank you. Thank
All
you very
right.
much.
Okay. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate you too.
Fresh Talks Global Vision. Take some notes, rewind, listen to this again, find out where your ahas are, find out where your bridge is from wanting to know more information about yourself and what you're discovering about yourself, what you already know. And that knowledge is going to take you very far. Where are you going to find a product that you feel understands you as a woman, and you're learning to understand about your nervous system? Maybe you have some shakes going on, or you just can feel stuff happening inside but you don't know what it is. I would want you to go and check out Indiefog Naturals and sit in with the Rooted and Well community and get yourself moving forward, because remember, your body isn't broken. You may be on medicine right now. Maybe you start working on this and you watch your body make its shifts. But as I said, I actually gave up my medicine, and I never tell anybody to do that. And I have learned along the journey so many things. So I welcome that for you also. Love you. We'll catch up again soon. Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate you.